Okay, here we start at the beginning of the walk path, and right away you see the very first stone is just loaded with gator dust, and it's stuck. It doesn't dust off. It got wet before it dried, or they didn't clean the rock well enough before they put it down. There's a couple little blowouts here already. See the pea gravel coming through. This should have never been laid on pea gravel. Should have been on a compacted base of 53 stone or chat, some type of limestone that locks in place, and then use a mortar sand or a mason sand to use to level with, because the pea gravel just keeps rolling out from underneath it and it causes more settling, and you start to get more of these gaps. By code, or not code, but by specs of any of the people that sell stone, they all say none of these joints should be any wider than 2 inches. Okay. This stone is pretty. Still got some gator dust in it, but these don't look too awfully bad. But we definitely have a spot here bigger than 2 inches. It's actually over 12 because I wear a size 11. That's a 12-inch shoe. There you go again. Big old gap. Just the time to set these wasn't taken to put the jigsaw puzzle together like it should be. Brian said we specifically left this spot without this rock in here because we were going to do a little planter bed, which would look nice against the pond, but I guess they didn't get relayed to the help because Brian wasn't here to supervise like he said he was going to be, or like I thought he should be, because that's who I hired to do the job. While we're standing here on the pond, we'll blow this up just a little bit. I asked him to come back and divert the water so we got a better effect coming down, and it does better. Still not quite like I thought it would, but it's acceptable. But when he spray foamed, he didn't bother to hide the spray foam with the rock or trim the spray foam back after it swelled. You see up here, spray foam sticking out. But the design of the fall is pretty. We're very happy with that. Had lots of compliments on it. The ledger rocks hanging over the edge of the pond is a cool effect, and everybody appreciates that. If you notice a little difference in the color of this stone, this stone, this stone, that one, that one, that one, all of those base stones, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. The ones that are orange, yeah, I brought all that material. That big base one down there, got zero credit for any of that stone that was brought. He had a price. His proposal was to figure using all of his material. They scratched up the back of my driveway for some 53 base material. They took up my pea gravel from my landscape. I didn't know we were going to do this, but they took all this up so they could use it to set this flagstone on through here. And then they brought in more pea gravel to set this in. And again, that's not industry standard. We're supposed to have a planter bed through here. Again, this stone should have been trimmed or modified a little better to make I'm not asking for a perfect straight line because that's not the idea here, but it really just doesn't fit well. Again, the stones through here are okay. They're nice size. And then we got to about this point, and we had our graduation party. So the pond was up and running, and this much of it was completed. And then they left and cleaned things up and did a nice job tidying things up. And we really appreciate the effort that they did to make it look nice when we had 100 plus people here for a pretty good sized party. Then they came back the following week and started piecemealing the patio together. First thing is we expected all of it to be completed before the graduation party, and I told Brian that when we discussed it in May, that we had this party the first weekend in June, and he said, oh, that's not a problem. And I understand the weather wasn't the best, but they didn't even make forth an effort until 2 weeks prior to the party. After that point, they came back to finish the patio and do the fire pit. And if you notice a substantially different size of stone, Now it looks like we're going into a mosaic pattern, which has nothing to look like this. The colors aren't the same, the stone is not the same, the size is not the same. It just does not flow at all. The other thing I did this evening is when we were putting this together, I asked that nothing elevation wise fall that direction or this direction towards the house, because we plan on putting an addition on the house out this way, and we want to make sure that we shed all of that water to the east. And they said not a problem. So this evening I got my laser out and set things up, and between actually starting here at the existing patio, I shot grade right here, and this was already existing. From here to here we're pretty level, and that's okay, because we really don't want things shedding towards the pond to flood the pond, which it does. Off of this rock alone, there's an inch of fall from here to here, so everything sheds into the pond. But from this point to that point, specifically where I said I don't want the water to go, there's over 3 inches of fall. So all of this water from here, this direction, is shedding towards where that new addition is going to be. So right now it's not hurting anything, but we put that addition on, then we've got water issues. When I specifically asked for everything to shed that way. And if you get down and get a real close elevation at it, I don't know if you'll be able to see from the phone or not, but it actually starts here and raises up and then goes back down. So there's actually a high spot right in here in this area. I asked the guys when they were putting this down, did they need to borrow a level? I've got a 4-foot level and some 2x4s, or even my laser would be better yet if you want to get real technical and shoot it with a laser. Again, the sub-base should have been compacted, screeded, set with screed boards to grade as if you were pouring concrete or any other patio, paver type situation. And then final grade set to fix the irregularity in the stone with a mason sand, and that was not done at all. Then we get over here to the fire pit. And Brian's design was to put boulders behind the fire pit to sit on, and I agreed to that. That was fine, except these aren't sittable boulders. I was expecting more symmetrical, more of a seat, maybe even a seat back, and we've got some pretty rough, irregular stuff that, as you can see, leaches mud every time it rains, because there should have been fabric paper or something put behind it to prevent that mud from washing through the gravel or washing through the stone. You put mulch in there or put gravel in there to camouflage it, and it'll look nice, but the mud is still going to wash through. They put in this valve control box here. There's a couple valves that control the fish pond. They've had it in and out numerous times, and I don't know if you can really tell, but it's all beat up and jank, and where they've tried to modify it, and it's not even level. Really does not look very professional at all. Lid doesn't fit on there quite straight because it's so out of skew. By pushing on it and trying to make it do something it's not supposed to do. It's a good idea, but just poorly done. Again, the size of the flagstone through here, the amount of gator dust on it is horrible. This does not come off. I have scrubbed and scrubbed. This particular rock here, I got on my hands and knees with a small scrub brush and actually cleaned this one. And it came out pretty nice, because I was just curious if they would clean up or not. It's going to be a lot of labor, a lot of labor. You see here, we've got the issue with the pea gravel again and the gator dust where it's blowing out. It's not compatible material. You should never do that. Then there's mud in the gator dust, because I don't know if it rained on them that day. Maybe they shouldn't have put it down. They were rushing. I don't know. That's then we get into the fire pit itself, and specifically on Brian's drawing, he had a nice size circle fire pit, and we've redone this once and tried to resize the boulders to make it fit, but it's still not a circle. and everybody's opinion that has looked at it, mine and other landscapers and everybody in the family, has it's just not in proportion with the rest of the project. We feel like it should be a little larger. Maybe the boulder's a little smaller to make it look a little larger. This particular one is straight. This one is straight. We got a straight line here. To me, it should be a nice circle, something of that sort. And then again, the boulders that we need to be sitting on here are just not acceptable. This one is actually on its side. It looks horrible. So overall, the project started out well. Thought we were going the right direction, and then I don't know what the situation was, if they needed to be someplace else, but they ran out of material. Oh, we'll get more material. Couldn't get material. The guys working here said they couldn't get material. Didn't know where it was. They needed more material. They spent I don't know how many hours standing around doing really nothing because they didn't have any material to work with, when they could have made some good progress on some nice work days. Then when they did get a little material, the weather turned to crap, and they rushed through it because I'm sure they were being pushed by whoever. The guys were hard workers. They were really nice, but maybe they were doing what they were told, but I just don't feel like it was acceptable. We've got some trip hazard issues too, where they didn't take the time to make sure this rock was down or possibly fill this up with gator dust. My mother-in-law tripped out here and thought she was going in the pond. My father can't see real well out of one eye, and he's got some sight issues. We've got a pretty good ledge here that should be filled up with proper gator dust and or fit these rocks like they're supposed to be. Then we won't have these gates and have these problems. I put this drain in. It actually ties to a downspout behind me and to this downspout here. And while they were working on this piece, they damaged this pipe, and they went back and replaced it. That's fine. But somewhere along the line, I got a $350 bill for plumbing. I furnished all of the plumbing for this pond. In fact, there's some material actually left over. There was plenty of 3-inch pipe here, all the valves, the skimmer, the waterfall, anything they needed. I said, if you guys need more material, just let me know. I'll get it, and I'll have it here today. This particular pipe that runs over here to this drain, like I said, they damaged and went ahead and repaired that. So I shouldn't have to pay for that because I didn't damage it. But I did notice the other day when I was looking in here, if you notice, that pipe still got a crack in it on this downspout. So if that's cracked right here at this point, I'm not real comfortable with maybe the way the rest of this pair was done. And I did see them put it together, and they really weren't going about it the right way. But again, I'm not their boss. I wasn't here to tell them what to do. I hired Brian to do a project and expected it to be supervised and done correctly. And at 50 years of age, I've laid many, many miles of pipe in my lifetime. That's what I grew up doing. As you see, we've got some pipe working right now for some other drainage issues we're working with. So that's about it, I guess. I'm sure I could continue to pick it apart. If you want to see some more blowouts, some more mud and the gator dust. That's what we're dealing with, and how dirty all of this is down here compared to the way this project started. A little bit up through here, I'll take the time to clean up if I had to. That would be acceptable, and I'll figure it out. This is not acceptable. We've paid for this, we've paid for that. I'm not happy with this, and I don't feel like I should pay for it. Any of this here. Thank you.